Good morning, everybody. I decided to make a video about this because I had a lot of trouble / had to do a lot of research learning about how to do it myself. But this is a video about doing liquid rubber onto a slide-on camper roof that has a rubber membrane that I had to clear all the silicone off, etc. So this is just a video about how it worked and what I had to do and what worked for me. I thought I might share it because it might be useful to everybody else. This video is based in southeast Queensland in June for the reference in weather and dry times because that is important. And if you hear any weird noises in the background, I'm sitting out front this morning with my dog. So she's chewing on a toy. Yeah, so to start off with, I ended up going with DIY liquid rubber because they're based in Nerang, which is northern end of Gold Coast, so it was close to me. But also, after researching all the products in Victoria and New South Wales, none of them actually offered a very small caravan bundle where DIY liquid rubber did. And because my slide-on camper is a small slide-on camper, it's 2100. The base of it's 2100 by 2100, but I think overall it's 21 by 3.2 maybe when you include the bed. If you're doing the whole roof, I'll insert photos throughout this clip. So they offered a small bundle that was a lot cheaper, so that's the reason that I mainly went with them, and it was a lot easier to access sooner. So I've started this video. I've already done the waterproof sealant stage, and now I am up to the sealer and thermal coating stage. But I'll show you the photos that I took along the way so you can see the condition of the roof when I first started this. So the condition of the roof, there was a lot of silicone. Sorry about the birds in the background too. I was told that the leaks were fixed, but they weren't, which I found, but I couldn't quite find where they were coming from, so I decided to redo the whole roof. Getting the silicone off was probably one of the hardest parts about this whole process and the longest part about this whole process. So I got up there, I removed the solar panels, removed the solar panel mounts, all the old silicone. I even sanded back the rubber membrane because there was this coating on it. I just did my best. I just sanded back whatever this stuff was to get it off. It looks like some reflective coating that they had put on previously to help seal the membrane. So once we got all of the sealant off, which I also learned WD-40 is great for lifting sealant. It gets very grimy though, but it doesn't really work on metal. Metal's quite difficult. But later on when doing the mounts, getting the silicone off the solar mounts, I used my housemate's heat gun, and that worked wonders at lifting it off. So heat is definitely something you want to get the silicone off, which I learned. So what happened after that? So I removed all the silicone, prepped the surface, washed it, pressure washed it, got everything off, and then I started with the products. So the stages are, there's the waterproof coating, which you need to do at least 2 coats of. I already had an existing membrane, and this was mainly for the joins, and I was still trying to work out, how much I covered. So I started with the major parts, which is the joins, which I'll show you the videos of, and then remounted the solar mounts and also did around them, just for precaution. Did around the air vent roof thing, and then I also decided to, because of this membrane and the way that it's done, so this is a 2000 Winnebago, but I was watching some videos, and when they put the membrane on, they folded over the edges, and then they put the fiberglass onto the side, so it actually, and then they put an edge thing on, but that actually creates a lot more opportunity for leaks, which is why this style is actually not that great and why I decided to redo the whole waterproofing. So then after doing the first coat, I actually decided to lap the waterproofing over the edge and just seal in this whole side section. I am going to go back and do the front, but the only reason I couldn't do the front was because it's mounted to the ute right now, and I didn't want that product dropping onto my ute. I just don't have anywhere sufficient to take it off without the solar panels on. I'm just fearful the battery is going to die and my electric legs might slide on will not work. So with the products, there's a few stages to it, and depending on the temperature and the weather of where you are. So most of the dry times are based on 25 degrees at 50% humidity, which like in June in southeast Queensland is pretty much what we have in the middle of the day. Right now it's 8 degrees and it's 8 a.m. It's not too bad, it's nice in the sun. So I started the liquid rubber stage. You have to apply it. I applied it over 2 days so that it had sufficient time to dry before the dew set in for the evening, which I'm glad that I did, because I did notice that the dew did create some leaking of the product, like a tiny bit in one corner where there was a lot of product. I accidentally went a little too thick on the first coat, but it worked out for the best. It was quite stressful, the first coat, because I had to do the Geo-textile, and even pre-cutting the Geo-textile, that stuff is really sticky, so I ended up buying more gloves because I just was going through them, like that stuff would just stick to everything. It was quite difficult to work with. So I went round, did the Geo-textile, so pre-cut it. You have to pre-cut your Geo-textile to size, but I had a lot of wind, so sometimes I think somebody helping during the stage would be quite helpful, because you put down the waterproof coating and then you put the Geo-textile down and then you go over it again to seal it in and really shove it into the corners and stuff like that. Then let that dry for 12 hours, and then I did another coat, and then I ended up having to do a third coat because of the section I started half on the second day. I needed to recoat the following day. So I allowed that to dry overnight so that I had time for the dew. I did get up and dry it between sessions so that the dew, like to get the dew off, to make the dry time a bit quicker. So the next stage that I have, which is where I am now, which I'll take you along with a bit more and film, is that do the sealant, then it needs an hour dry time between that and starting the first thermal coating. So hopefully at about 10, I'm going to do the sealant. That'll have 1 hour, well hopefully 9:30 till 10, and then that'll have 1 hour from 10 till 11 to dry in hopefully very close to 25 degree temperatures, direct sunlight, so that should hopefully dry it off pretty quick. And then I will do the first thermal coating, and then that will take 12 hours. I'm going to leave that sit for 12 hours to dry properly, just because of it needs to dry enough before that dew sets in tonight, because of like this one you cannot do if rain is imminent, and I have been very thankful in early June that I finally got a good clear weather window, because through May we've had some really horribly wet weather on and off, like just random rain. So we've finally had a great weather window. So I'm going to double check the weather again today and make sure there's nothing coming, but at this stage it looks good. So I'm going to let, between the two thermal coatings, I'm going to leave a whole night just to give it a real good chance to dry, and then do the second coat tomorrow at about 10:30, 11. And then that should be it, hopefully. I've got to remount the solar panels and then go from there. So I'll take you along with the rest of it. Hopefully this video doesn't end up too long. All right, so here we are up on the roof. We're about to start the sealant coat. We've given it a good wash, checked it's all dry, and just now we just need to get all the little bits of leaf off. It's looking good. Even the thick parts are dried, which is good. I actually need to get I've got the black gloves. Seems like this product's a bit thinner than the waterproof coating, which is good. Let's give it a good shake, stir it up. Yep. So yeah, we're ready to start applying the sealant coat. I'm just gonna go down and get some masking tape to mask up this solar panel to get it out of the way. So this is what it looks all dry. There's some thick spots, but it seems to have dried well. Well, that one's a bit cracky, but it should be okay. It's bubbled for some reason. But yeah, I only did like a tiny bit of the membrane. It says to apply the sealant to previously painted surfaces. So I'm going to start with the coats onto the liquid rubber, then do the whole membrane most likely. You can kind of see the Geo-textile underneath there. It's quite thick. I had this issue, which this section of the solar cabling, I was going to put a cover on it, but it just didn't work out. So I'm just going to have to tape this onto this mount to get it out of the way for now. Oh, wow. Wasn't expecting it to look like that. It's quite white and bubbly. I guess I'm shaking it, but I don't know. I expected it to be, I don't know, sticky. So this is the sealer. So I expected it to be a bit sticky, to be honest. So as you can see here, I've gone over the edges and I'm just resealing along all of it now. And this is what the sealant looks like going on. It's not quite what I was expecting for a sealant. Quite runny. But it seems to be going on all right. So I've got to tape these back to get them out of the way. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it when I start doing the thermal coating. But so far the sealing coat's gone well. I don't know if I said, but I had to take the solar mounts off the wall and then I reattached them after cleaning everything with the solar panels to get them all aligned, and then I removed the panels but kept the mounts so that I could seal around them. But I've done half the sealing, almost done now. Alright, the whole roof is sealed. I even did the this bit because I want to put thermal coating on it. Oopsies. So it's pretty easy to apply. Seems to apply like a gluey gum to it. I'm just going to get down and do this section. One thing I forgot to say was with the Geo-textile tape, it's quite hard to apply. And they did say it's actually the cheaper option than using, I think, seam grip tape. I read in somebody else's video. But to be honest, the Geo-textile is quite difficult to use. And the seam grip tape seems pretty easy to use. You put it on before you start doing all of this. So I think I probably would recommend using the seam grip tape, but I've never used it. But the Geo-textile was very hard to use, especially because you have to get it flat, and I didn't get it quite flat. So I had a lot of bits that are risen, so I need to solve those. Well, I think once I put all the thermal coating on, it'll be fine. But this is the rig. I'm just gonna go do this last section, then it's got to dry for an hour before I can do the thermal coating. So the ladder keeps on affecting the sealant on the side that I'm applying it to. Keeps on just... So you need a mixing drill attachment for all of these to mix them. So I'm going to start with the paintbrush and do the small parts and then use the roller to do the big parts, and I've got a roller extender if I need it. Let's do this. So you can see that the sealer is dried pretty well. Well, you may not be able to see, but it has dried well. Didn't take long, only an hour in the sun. A few bits that probably still are drying off, but let's get started on the painting. We'll start in the spot where it's going to get the least amount of sun and is the longest dry time. That's me starting the first coat. I'm going to finish this off and I'll show you guys at the end. Alright, so we've done the first coat. The roller ended up being easier than the paintbrush. I just did the paintbrush in the mounts and joins. So it's drying off now and I'm just going to finish this bit. But it was actually pretty easy, to be honest, and the roller was the easiest way to apply. I'm going to go around and do the edges again. But yeah, that's the first thermal coat done. I also did the skylight. Alright, so it's the first morning after the first thermal coating. It's looking like it's dried pretty well. It just sags to this side, so I've just tried to give it a bit of a dry up on this side to help it dry. But I'll just have to give it a few hours to dry off because it's too slippery to get up there with the towel. About maybe 10:30 once the dews, or 10 once the dews burn off, I'll get up there and do the final coat. It's looking pretty good though. Looking pretty good. I didn't bother filming it because it was pretty straightforward. I just did the same as yesterday, but this is the second coat. It looks a lot better now. It's a lot thicker. Hopefully this is the last one, I reckon. I don't think I'll bother with the third. Oh, pain under my hand. So yes, I'll show you the finished product once it's all dry on Sunday, and I'll maybe even post a comment once it's been like maybe 6 months to a year and what it looks like and whatnot. This is it. It's all done. Right, so I've finished all of the layers, and the last clip you've seen is me putting the solar back on. It's dried up really well, it's held up really well. I will keep the video updated in the chat, I guess, about how it ends up holding up and varying the weather. But so far it looks alright. Had a bit of trouble getting the solar back on. I made some silly mistakes, not realising it was still plugged into the mains power, and we thought broke the solar, but it was all good. So yeah, that's how you apply the liquid rubber. Hopefully the video wasn't too long and was helpful to somebody else. It's all pretty hard and exhausting, to be honest. Getting those panels off and getting all that silicone off was probably the hardest part, and then getting that Geo-textile done and flat was very hard. But hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks, bye.